Let me show you the picture. This is sorry. This is how it looks like. We have the router or the hotspot, mobile hotspot. You are getting public IP address from the internet service providers, BSNL, Hathway, Act, Jio. Whenever you purchase a SIM card or whenever you take broadband connection, you'll be allocated with one public IP address, right? From this public IP address, you are going to get the internet to all the devices that are connected to the router or switch. So you can connect your laptop or mobile or any other laptops, printers, whatever it is. Now, why do we use private IP address then? So public IP address will be unique for the router and the devices that are connected behind the router. So here the Ali's laptop, Ali's mobile, and Hari's laptop, and then printer, all these will have same public IP address as that of the router. Then how do we distinguish these devices within the intranet? How do we distinguish? With the help of private IP addresses. Got it? Private IP addresses. We have dedicated private IP address range in each and every class of the IP address. That's what we have discussed. So what are the private IP address range in class A? Can I get the answer? Reply in the chat window. In class A, we have the private IP range of 10.x.x. In class B, we have 172.16.x.x to 172.31.x.x. X varies from 0 to 255. Okay. And class C 192.168.x.x. This is a private IP range. IPv4 consists of 32 bits and it will be divided into 4 groups. Each group is divided with a dot. Okay. So this is how IPv4 is constructed. Maximum number of IP addresses that can be allocated in IPv4 is 2 power 32, that is close to 4.2 or 4.4 billion nodes. When I say nodes, it is computers. Those are computers or systems or devices. So whenever, for example, you have a mobile, you have internet at your home. So each requires one public IP address. Like that, all these IPv4 addresses are already exhausted. Exhausted in the sense, people have utilized it. There are no more IP addresses. That's the reason we have moved to 128-bit IP addresses. That is called IPv6 convention. Okay. And it will be divided into 8 groups. One 128 bits is divided into 8 groups. So each group will consist of how many bits? Can anyone answer this? Each group will consist of how many bits? In case if you are splitting the IPv6 128 into 8 groups, each group will consist of simple math calculation. One 128 by 8, that is 60. Okay. So each group consists of 16 bits. It will become like this: 16 bits, 16 bits. So, however, these 16 bits are divided or separated with a colon. It will not be like a dot, just like in IPv4. Here we use colon. So like that it will be there. However, these 16 bits are represented in hexadecimal format. Can anyone tell me the range of hexadecimals? If you talk about decimals, it will be 0 to 9. Hexadecimals. The reason why I ask you these simple questions are like these we would have studied in your 10th standard, 10 plus 2 or graduation. Binaries range of bits are 0 and 1. Decimal 0 to 9, right? Same thing for hexadecimal. It starts with 0, it will go up to 9, and from 9 it starts with A. Then what is the ending character in hexadecimal format? A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so this value of F is 15. How do you represent 15 in binary format? Can anyone tell me? How do you represent F in binary format? Say there are 4 bits. This is the 50 hexadecimal format. How do you represent in binary format? Can I say this one? This is the binary format of 50. What is the binary format of 40? So 15 we are calling it like F. 14 we call it like E. So binary format of E is what? Put it in the chat window. In case if you are not able to understand these concepts, don't worry. These are all not at all related to cyber security. I'm just trying to explain you how this IPv6 is constructed. Try to understand the convention of IPv6. If you are able to understand other concepts, that is good. If you are not able to understand, don't worry about that. Okay. The binary for value of E is, that's it. Very simple. You will have to subtract. What is the binary format of 1? If it is represented in 4 bits, what is the value of 1? Zero, 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 and 1. This is the value of 1. Hexadecimal value. Okay. So these 16 bits I'm going to represent in hexadecimal format. So again, within these 16 bits, how many hexadecimal values I can represent? We have 16 bits, that's okay. But how many hexadecimal values will come? 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the answer? Hexadecimal values. Like I can represent like 4 bits plus 4 bits plus 4 bits plus 4 bits. So 4 bits, when I say hexadecimal format, maximum value is F. And the maximum value for 4 bits is F. Colon. Can I say like this is the maximum IP address I can represent? 8 loops. Is it correct? Yes or no? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the maximum value I can represent in IPv6. Is it correct? Yes or no? What are the total number of IP addresses? Can anyone tell me? In IPv6, what are the total number of IP addresses we can assign to computers? 2 power, what is the value I should give? Total number of bits are 128. These are the total number of IP addresses or nodes we can assign in IPv6. So the range of nodes which we can assign will be more in IPv4 or IPv6. We can allocate more IP addresses in IPv4 or IPv6. It is definitely IPv6. The reason is it will become like 4 billion nodes into 4.4 billion nodes, again into 4.4 billion, like that twice. So which is like very huge number, trillions, which will not may get to say which will not get exhausted. That is the purpose of IPv6 address. Okay, but the convention what we follow for IPv6 is As I said, it is represented in 8 groups, and each group consists of 4 hexadecimal values. I'll give some random IPv6 address, ABC1 colon. You have to tell whether it is valid IPv6 or not. Is it valid IPv6 or not? That is the question. Can anyone tell me? Say yes or no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it valid IPv6 or not? Remember IP address concepts we discussed in the yesterday's session. If you have missed yesterday's session, don't worry, go through my video. IP addresses is used to identify the system uniquely in the internet. Just like the way how we identify a person using Aadhaar card, computer in the internet can be identified uniquely using the IP address. It is represented in IPv4 and IPv6. What is the answer for this? Is it valid IPv6? It is a valid IPv6. Okay, it consists of 8 groups, and each and every group we have the valid hexadecimal formats 0 to 9 and A to E. So ABC 1 0 0 1 0 C D E F. This is within the range. Okay, this is a valid IPv6. Let me give you one more example. Each group has to be separated with colon. How about this? Is this valid IPv6 or not? I'm saying each and every group consists of hexadecimal values. Hexadecimal values range is 0 to 9 and then A to F. Considering that whatever the values I have kept will fall under hexadecimal range. 0 to E, 0 to F, any value I can give. So I have given all the values of 101001. This is also valid hexadecimal value. Valid IPv6 address. Okay. One more example. How about this valid IPv6 or not? Mostly if you have logged in from mobile, you would have got both IPv4 and IPv6 for that mobile. You can check by browsing the internet in your mobile saying, what is my IP address? Okay, that will say, check that later. The last and final one. How about this? Is this valid IPv6 or not? Very easy to identify whether it is valid IPv6 or not. It should consist of 8 groups, and each group should be separated with a colon, and each group consists of values from 0 to 9 and A to F. Okay. How about this? Is this valid IPv6? It consists of how many groups? 3 plus 3 plus 2. 8 groups are there, correct? Each group is separated with a colon. A means it is 10. B means 11, C means 12, D means 13, E means 14, F means 15. Then like that we have to convert into decimal. This is a valid IPv6 address. Whenever there are sequence of zeros, you can ignore those sequences of zeros. And then you can put like this, sequence of two colons. These two are same. The IPv6 address which is represented in 8 groups and IPv6 which is represented in two groups, but in between we have the sequence of colons, which means that between these two values there are sequence of zeros for 6, total 8 groups. So we can imagine like there are sequence of zeros for 6 positions. Okay, placeholders. This is also valid IPv6 address. These two are same. Okay. How about this? Is this valid IPv6? Yes or no? Ten seconds to go. As I said before, if there are sequence of zeros, I can replace it with sequence of colons. So there are sequence for 3 placeholders. I am replacing like this. The question is, this is a valid IPv6 address. Are these two same? Yes or no? Are these two values same or different? Yes, these two are same. The last two questions like this, we are done with IPv6. How about this? Tell me first of all whether it is a valid IPv6 or not, and are those same or not. The first and the third, you can imagine this one as first. You guys said first and second are same. How about first and third? Are those same or different? It is also same. We just replace the sequence of zeros with sequence of colon. So total number of groups in IPv6 is 8. But for the third one, we see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 groups, 5 groups are there. And there is a sequence of colons and then the one more group, total 6 groups. So total number of zeros in sequence are 2. That's how you need to articulate that. The last one more I'm going to represent. Sequence of zeros can replace with sequence of colons. So is this valid IPv6? Yes or no? That is the first question. Okay, if it is valid IPv6, does first and fourth same or not? In fact, this is not a valid IPv6 address. The reason is we can represent the sequence of zeros only once. Sequence of zeros can be replaced with sequence of colons only once, not twice or more than twice. Because when you try to put twice, we don't know the sequence of zeros on the left hand side is 2 or 3. If I can replace with sequence of zeros twice here and sequence of zeros 3 times on the extreme right, then the IPv6 address will be distinct. It will be a different, it will be like a different IPv6 address. That is the reason this is the invalid. We have to use only once. Remember, this is invalid. Only once we can be used this sequence of codes colon in case of IPv6 address. Okay, this is the purpose or significance of IPv6 address. Does anyone has any questions? Is it clear? IPv4, IPv6. If you have any questions, do let me know. IPv4 we represent in 32 bits and it is like 8 bits, and with all those 8 bits has to be represented in decimals, and it is separated with a dot, not colon. 8 bits dot 8 bits dot 8 bits dot 8 bits. This is how IPv4 is constructed, that we discussed in yesterday's session. A to F. F means 15. A means 10. Yeah. Any questions, anyone? Shall we go for the quiz? Based on IPv4, IPv6, if you have understood, then quickly we'll have a quiz. I see a question from Srikanth. How do we know how many zeros has to be there if single port is used? No, by analyzing the IPv6 address, we should be able to know. I'll give one more example for IPv6. A. Subcolons. Yes. How many zeros will be there in sequence? Can anyone tell me for this IPv6 address? Shorter representation of IPv6 address. How many sequence of zeros? Groups of sequence of zeros. That's it. I have given two groups. Then it means that the sequence of zeros are 6. So this is how like one of the hexadecimal IPv6. It will be in zeros, but the way it gets displayed to us will be in hexadecimal format. You can refer to any tutorial in the internet. They don't go beyond this. Whatever I have heard, the same thing will be there. No need to struggle so much. Some of the examples of IPv6. Don't go too much deep. We are into ethical hacking. We are not trying to analyze like how these IP packets will communicate. That is a different. That is not the scope of us. Our job is to know whether it is IPv4, IPv6. If yes, how is it constructed? Those things we should be familiar with. 128 bits divided into 16 bits blocks, converted into hexadecimal format. Same thing. Whatever I have explained here. Go through my video first, then try to prepare your own notes. That's what I would recommend. Okay. You guys have some questions, right, in yesterday's session? Some questions are, what is difference between intranet and intranet? Intranet and versus internet. Then any other questions? What is meant by NAT? Someone has asked what is meant by NAT. Then any other questions? That's it, right? Intranet versus internet. Okay, here we have. This is a picture of a typical IT infrastructure for any organization. What is MAC? MAC address is the physical address, means the IP address will be allocated by the public IP address will be allocated by ISPs. But MAC address is a hardware address. Hardware means you brought your system and there will be a network interface card, means where you try to plug in your cable to your system, NIC card. Basically, this is one interface. When you say interface, this will have one MAC address that is permanent. It will not be changed for the hardware. So the system can be identified even with this MAC address. This is the physical address, cannot be changed for a computer hardware. Okay. But however, public IP address, it will be provided by the public IP address is provided by the ISPs. And how about private IP address? Private IP address will be allocated by the DHCP server, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. And then what is the purpose of internet? That we'll discuss. Let me show you a simple picture. You see here one of the picture on the left hand side. Okay, this is also not good. Okay, I have one simple picture here. We have the internet. Internet means anyone can access it. Okay. On the left hand side, it is a software company which has multiple projects. Each project has been allocated with LANs, different LANs, local area network, LAN 1, LAN 2, LAN 3. On the right hand side, there is an internet. Internet means all of us, we can consider internet as rest of the world. Internet means you are working for a company called HackerBook. There are 3 projects in HackerBook. All these 3 are in the intranet. On the left hand side of this yellow line, we call it like intranet. On the right hand side, it is called internet. Is it clear? What is the difference between internet and intranet? Okay, now, but still, there will be a special, I can say like special zone between the internet and intranet. Does anyone aware of that? What is the area or the zone that is called between internet and intranet? Remember the name that is called DMZ. DMZ. What is the full form of DMZ? No one knows. DMZ stands for demilitarized zone. Demilitarized zone means we try to put some special servers in that demilitarized zone for any kind of applications where you need access to the entire internet, or even it is required within the company. You can consider it like a barrier where you can put some software, some servers and security controls. That is the purpose of demilitarized zone. Okay. Now, what is the purpose of DNS? What is the purpose of DNS server? DNS maps IP address to the domain. Okay, remember that, domain to IP address mapping. I'll give you complete picture of internet, intranet, and DMZ. The DMZ falls between internet and intranet. Internet means that is everywhere where we have connected because of the internet. Internet means even it includes this internal zone also, but for understanding purpose, we categorize like that. This is the intranet. So within the intranet, I have two servers. One is hackerbook.internal.hackerbook.com. There is a website called internal.hackerbook.com. This is accessible only to the employees in the office. If you try to access this internal.hackerbook.com from one of the computer from your home, this assume like this is a home network. You are in Hyderabad and office is in Bangalore. Then you want to access internal.hackerbook.com. Hyderabad and at your phone. You are trying to launch internal.hackerbook.com, which is located in the Hackerbook office of Bangalore. Is it accessible? Yes or no? What do you think? When I say internal website, this has to be this can be accessed only when you are in office. Office in the sense office surroundings, that is office infrastructure. You cannot access. This is called internal.hackerbook.com. There is one more website called hackerbook.com. This one we have configured it like it has to be accessible to internal employees, and also it has to be accessible to the internet. You should be able to access from your home, and any of your friends also should be able to access it. Fine. So if anyone are able to access hackerbook.com, it has to be mapped to public IP address. But sometimes what happens, you will be hosting the hackerbook.com in the DMZ. This is the actual hackerbook.com. If you are able to access the domain, definitely it has some public IP address. Assume like 132 or 190, not 190, 166.12.1.12. This is the public IP address of hackerbook.com. The request from your system, it comes like this, hit the server. However, you have allocated two systems for hackerbook.com. System 1, server 1 and server 2. Server 1 and server 2. The IP address of server 1 is 10.12.12.13. The IP address of server 2 is 10.12.12.14. So server 1 and server 2 are these internal IP addresses or external IP address? These are internal IP addresses, but I want internal IP address is also called private IP address. Remember, internal IP address is also called private IP address. External IP address is also called public IP address. Don't worry in case if you are not able to understand. These are very simple concepts. Just try to know how the communication happens. Fair enough. But if some user wants to access any of the domain or any of the website, definitely it requires the public IP address. That's how for hackerbook.com we have allocated 116.12.1.12. This is a public IP address. So whenever the request comes like this, it has to be routed through a router. Okay. I'm not giving the exact symbols for the router. It has to routed through the router to the multiple devices. So the request goes like this, and from here, either it has to hit server 1 or it has to hit server 2. These two are configured with hackerbook.com. Only thing is, we need to do address translation, address mapping. When I say address mapping, IP address mapping. IP address mapping is done with the help of protocol called network address translation. So any request that comes to 166.12.1.12 and port number 80, has to redirect to port number 80 of 10.12.12.13. Okay, and even you can configure, if you want to configure multiple systems, any request that comes from port 80 or some other port, you can configure it to 14 of 81. So I'm trying to do, basically I'm trying to map the network IP addresses. So this is done by the protocol called, what is the name of the protocol which performs these activities? Network address translation. Okay, so we can assign one public IP address to multiple private IP addresses. That's what I'm doing. The public IP address is same here, 116.12.1.12, but private IP address varies. We are trying to enable multiple systems to one public IP address so that we are trying to share the load. Okay. If you want to read more, always remember, search with images so that it will be easy for you to understand any concepts. NAT protocol, that's it. Very simple. Go to the images. You can take any of the IP address and then try to analyze that. Internet means external world, external network. Private network means internal IP, internal network. Okay, or internal devices versus external devices. Source IP, destination IP. Source IP, destination IP. Let me, even the reverse translation also will be possible. Let me give a simple example. These are little tough. Private network outside global network, internet. That's not good. Fine, Shamim, you can leave the class. We have the internet, we have the router. Public IP address is 244.146.1.1. Private IP address is 174.122.1. So any request that comes to this public IP address has been routed to three devices: 174, 122.1.2, 1.3, 1.4. This is how this NAT is useful, network address translation. You can view even other examples as well. Internet 172.122. This is public IP address. Don't get confused with private IP address. 172.16 is the private. 172.122 is the public IP address. We have a modem and router. So private IP address and your LAN assigned by you. Computer 1 and computer 2. So these two IP addresses, we are going to map to one IP address of the public. Okay, public IP address, that is 172.16. So these records are stored in a table called NAT table, NAT table. Okay, fair enough. This is how this NAT protocol works. I have to cover a concept called VPN proxies. Let me see if I can download that VPN. Any questions, anyone? No questions? Good. how to hide our identity. That's what we are going to discuss today. Last 5 minutes, then we'll get into the quiz. This is very important concept because as a hacker, you should know how to hide your IP address. Okay. We have a hacker. Multiple users are there across different locations. And within these users, we have a hacker. One of the hacker exists. User 1, user 2. Okay, let me see if I have the picture readily available. Let us take this picture. Okay. As I said, Alice is there in India, and from UK we have a Bob, and from China John is there. These three are different users across different countries, and the ISPs are different for these users. Now, when I try to browse any kind of malicious things, or if I want to perform any malicious hacking activities, I'll be caught. And the ISPs like BSNL or Geo, they'll be able to caught my IP address. With IP address, they will be able to trace my residential address, permanent address with the help of KYC. So what I do is, if my IP address is something like this, 182.1.1.12, I'm going to hide my IP address. For that, there are some tools. Let us try those tools now. So instead of by changing this IP address, the request goes through multiple nodes, and finally, like, I'm going to hide my IP address. No, we don't have the correct picture for that. The normal way of communication to the server is like this. We have the server. What are the three major components of three-tier architecture? What are the three major components of three-tier architecture? Put your answer in the chat window. Database server, application server, and web server. Okay. And the normal way of communication is you send a request to the server and you get the response. My objective is to hack the website. So for that, I send a request to the website and I get a response. This is the normal way of communication. If I'm able to hack that website, I am successful. And if I am lucky, I'll not be caught. If I am not lucky, I'll be caught. If I am caught, I'll be put into the jail. That's how the way in case if you don't depend on the proxies. But I'm going to hide my IP address. So when I hide my IP address, what happens is the request will not directly go to the website. It will go through multiple nodes of chains or multiple systems. So I'll tell you. The request goes to, assume like these are the nodes from different countries. From India, it go to China. From China, it goes to US. From US, it goes to Pakistan. And from Pakistan, one more node in Pakistan. The request will not directly hit the website when you are trying to use these nodes. So the request goes like this. You are trying to perform the same activity, but in China, there is one node. Assume like you are trying to hit that node first. From China, in that node, that system will send a request to the system in US. From that, Pakistan, and one more system in Pakistan. And finally, the request hits the website like this. You can assume some IP addresses like public IP I have displayed. China's public IP address, I'm just mentioning some IP. Okay, let me give some example. IP2 I mentioned, I'm not listing the complete public IP address. IP3, and node 1 in Pakistan is IP4, and node in Pakistan is IP5. So for abc.com, when I try to browse some, or when I try to do some activities, abc.com, for abc.com, it will be IP5 address, something like 133.12.1.3. This is the IP address that will be shown to the ABC. And the response also will come from abc.com to this IP address. And again, in return, the response goes to Pakistan, from their US, again from their China, from China to actual user in India. The website is also in India. The attacker is also in India. This is how this chain of proxies will work. VPN chain. I'll not be caught. The IP address which I get is 132.12.13.11. So what these people do in case if they investigate, India doesn't have any access to the data from Pakistan, we cannot do anything. Assume like somehow they convince Pakistan. These two nodes they are able to track. Again, they have to get permissions from US. So it is very difficult to get the permissions from multiple countries. It requires a lot of regulatory approvals, all those things. That's the reason it is very less likely that you will be caught if you are using VPNs. No, you'll not be able to caught with even any other tools. Let us try with one simple example, practical lab will do. One of the tool is HideMe, free proxies. Either you can try from the browser itself or you can download the VPN and try. I'll try to make use of the VPN now. Is it getting installed? Yes, no. Okay. If you have logged in from your laptop, you also can parallelly install this HideMe. Or else first observe what exactly I'm trying to do. My IP address, original IP address is what? You just type, what is my IP address? My system has got both IPv4 and IPv6 address. 157, which is the public IP address, IPv4 address, even IPv6 address. You can see the convention of IPv6 address. This is the original IP address. I have downloaded the tool and I'll try to install that tool now. HideMe. Finish. Okay, do I need to sign in? So we have the free version and even premium version. Free version means it will be limited to 2 or 3 countries. Premium means you get multiple, I mean to say like you can get the IP address from multiple countries. Locations, 70 locations are there. Activate. Okay. It is trying to get the IPv4 address. Still it is getting loaded. VPN, your IPv4 address, it is trying to load. Let us wait for some time. Okay. Is it correct? My IP address 157.47.51.148. The same IP address, even when you try to use what is my IP address. So if I perform any activities from here, say for example, I want to hack ultramutual.com like this. I want to do unauthorized login by using admin or 1 is equal to 1. So for ultramutual.com, the IP address that gets displayed is 157. Clear? But if I change the IP address, if I want to hide my IP address, I want to change the IP address of my system. Try to enable the VPN. Enable VPN. Enable VPN. Connect to VPN. Did we get a different IP address? 217.138.94. IPv4 and IPv6. Right now, my IP address is different. So some are there for free and some are there for premium version. So how do you know that? Try to do the same thing now. IP address, what is IP address I get in case if I try to browse any of the website? Do the same thing, enter. It is showing the IP address as a different one, 217.138. It is from Germany, not from India. So the application owner or the website thinks someone is trying to access their website from Germany, not from India. This is how we need to make use of these VPNs. Very simple concept, no complexity here. You just need to install one tool. Or if you don't want to install the tool, directly you'll be able to launch it from the browser as well. But that is like we cannot do all the activities. Keep for your knowledge, be like ethical hackers only, don't become real hackers. Fair enough. Any questions, anyone? So the same thing, like it will not be like we don't hit the website directly. We hit the website through the nodes of proxies so that we are trying to hide our identity. That is the purpose of these VPN proxies and how to hide or mask our IP address. How to trace them? It is little tedious process. You need to learn about forensic investigation. Forensic investigation means, you know, right? What we mean by forensic investigation. In ethical hacking also we have that certification. If you're familiar with that, then we should be able to trace any kind of activities, or else it is really difficult. We cannot confirm the success unless you try it. There you can succeed or you can fail also. As and then the detectives or the forensic investigators, ethical hackers learn more tools. Even the real hackers also learn the tools in the same manner. I think that's all for today. Let us finish the quiz. We are running out of time. Forensic investigation is not the scope of this course. We mainly learn about hacking. We are not going to do the investigation part. We learn about hacking in this course. Network hacking, website hacking, API penetration testing, and mobile hacking. That is the scope of this course. Don't install these VPN proxies, not needed. This is just for your understanding of VPN proxies. Today's session, what you have to learn, what is mean by IPv4 address, what is mean by IPv6 address, how to represent, what is internal IP address, what is external IP address, public IP, private IP, DNS, DHCP, NAT protocol. That's it. That is the scope of our that is the scope that is required for our session. Okay, don't worry about these like IP masking, all those things. That is like additional concepts for your knowledge. Shall we go for the quiz? Are you guys ready? Reply only to me, don't reply to everyone. Clear? You can see Hari space yes. How to hide? Show me one more time how to hide our IP. Very simple. If you want to hide your IP address, browse this tool, hide me, and install this tool. Download and install it. After installation, it will show you the IP address as some IP address, which is the original IP address. There will be option called enable VPN. The moment you click on that, the IP address gets changed. That's it. Again, if you want to disable, see for example, now it is showing 217.138 from Germany. If I disable VPN, click on disable, it will show, it has to show the Indian IP address of my original IP address, right? So this is the Indian IP address. This is my original IP address. We are trying to do some malicious activity by giving someone else identity. Got it? Fair enough. Any other questions? These are all basics. Don't think like it is a little boring, but you should know all these things. Okay, let me see how many of you have understood these IPv6, IPv4 concepts. Reply only to me, don't reply to all. We'll have a quiz now. First question. Is this internal or external IP address? Is this internal or external IP address? Last 15 seconds to answer this. Select reply only to Hari. Okay, there is an option called Hari yes or the host. Reply only to me, don't reply to all. If you want to check whether it is an internal or external IP address, you need to pay attention to the first octet. Okay, in case of IPv4. So 10 dot, you remember 10.x.x.x, 10.x.x.x. That is internal IP address. Yes, all of you are correct. This is internal IP address. Next question. What is the IP class of 10.22.125.2? What is the answer? If you are trying for network security jobs from fresher to 5 years of experience, these kind of questions will be asked. Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and E. Class A starts from the first octet for Class A is 0 to 127. Okay, so definitely 10 falls between 0 and 127. The answer is Class A. Next question. Is this internal or external IP address? Reply only to me. Don't reply to everyone. Loshita, Padmanabhan. Reply only to me. Don't reply to everyone. Anand. Is this internal or external IP address? Or public versus private IP address? Internal means private IP address. External means public IP address. Last 10 seconds to go. For better identification of internal IP address, right? See whether it starts with 10 dot, class A, no. Or is it starting with 172.16? No. Is it starting with 192? No. So we don't have this in the internal IP range. It means that it is external IP address. External is the correct answer. Next question. Find the loopback IP address from this list. Very easy one. Loopback IP address. I told like some of the IP address range is reserved for the loopback addresses, that is 127 series. And within that, more oftenly used loopback IP address is 127.0.0.1. Very, very important concept. Answer is C. Next question. Which of the following is valid IPv6 address? Last 15 seconds to go. Which of the following is valid IPv6 address? We discussed that IPv6 should consist of 8 groups, right? So option 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups. Option 2, option B consists of 7 groups. Option C consists of 8 groups. Option D consists of 9. So it should contain only 8 groups and each group separated with a colon. That's the reason answer C is the correct. Which of the following is a IPv6 address? Just now we discussed IPv6 always will be represented with 8 groups and all those 8 groups are separated with colon. And in case if there are sequence of zeros, we try to represent with sequence of colon. That's how IPv6 is constructed. Option A is it is not IPv6, it is IPv4. B is also IPv4. C IPv6. D, again IPv4. The correct answer is C. Next question. Which of the following is valid IPv6 address? Try to get the laptops from Friday session. Friday, or if not Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to train you on the lab setup from Friday onwards. And also, remember, Friday is the last day to make the payments. In case if you have done the initial payment, try to close it by Friday. No, first EMI, we have the time till July 10th. But initial payment, in case if you have not paid, if you want to get with offer price, try to do it by Friday. Or else after that, it will be like 18,000. Which of the following is IPv6? The first one is IPv4, that is incorrect. Second one is represented in hexadecimal format, but the thing is, the sequence of codes exists twice, right? This is not the correct answer. Option C, it is represented only in 3 groups. That is also not a correct answer. The last one, the sequence of zeros are replaced with single quotes, colons basically, right? Option D is the correct one. Option C, we have only 3 groups. You cannot say that is the correct IPv6. Option D is the correct answer. Which of the following automatically allocates IP addresses to the endpoints of the systems on request? I would expect correct answer for this question from everyone. Which will give the allocation of IP address. The database server, the purpose is to store the data. Mail server to support the emails. Web server, if you want to enable the applications or the services to the external network, we make use of the web server. Okay, we can host FTP, you can host HTTP, like that. And dynamic allocation of IP addresses is done with the help of DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Option C is the correct one. DHCP is server, that is. Match the following to its relevant definition. Already we have covered this question. I think you can ignore this. Asset vulnerability, risk, threat, exploit. Okay, you can just ignore this question. Already we discussed. Match the following to its relevant definition. Okay. Go through this question and answer it. You have to give the numbering, A2, A1, B2, B3, like that. At a time, you try to prepare the answer and post it. You need to know what is the purpose. Locate study, you have given 5 multiple times. Check that. Everyone knows the purpose of database. The answer is there in the question itself. Database, which stores the data. EF4 starts with 4. Web server, presentation purpose, or makes the application available in the internet. B5, so 4, 5. Application server, business logic. 2. DHCP, just now we discussed. 1. Dynamic allocation of it. DNS, mapping of IP address to the domain. That's it. Very simple. Are we done? 4, 5, 2, 1, 3. This is the correct answer. That's good. I would see like everyone are able to score 8, 7 out of 9. 7 out of 9 or 8 out of 9. 9 out of 9. Can you guys post your scores to everyone? Reply to all. Only 9 questions. We don't have 10 questions. 7, 8, 9. Anything with 7 or beyond 7 is good. You are able to get engaged with the session and you are able to understand. Don't worry if 1 or 2 goes wrong, but go through that concepts where you have failed so that it will be easy for you to remember. When you come for the tomorrow's session, I'm giving you a small assignment. This assignment is on the theory part. Okay. I want to come up with 3 lines for each of these concepts. DHCP, DNS, then SMTP, NAT. What else? VPN is not at all required. I'm just seeing like, yeah. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. You need to come up with 2 lines. What is your understanding of these concepts? Okay. If you are ready and if you have prepared the concepts, you can post it in the WhatsApp group as well. That's not a problem. But we'll discuss for first 5 minutes these concepts. And also I need people who can explain these things in 2 lines. I don't need like complete essay kind of thing. Why do we use DHCP? DHCP used for dynamic allocation of IP addresses. That's it. How does it done? There will be a DHCP client and DHCP server. So the moment you plug in, that node will be continuously picking, like that node will ask like, okay, I need IP address. Can you give me? Can you give me? DHCP server will be there. Okay, take this IP address. And it will be allocated for some time, like 1 week, 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, again, it will allocate different IP address. So basic concept, how this works. Maybe I would ask 4 to 5 members, whoever are interested. You need to give some explanation for DHCP, DNS, SMTP, NAT, and ARP. And you can mention the port number as well for these protocols. This is assignment for tomorrow's session. Okay, thank you so much. See you tomorrow again. Bye bye.